On the way to the coldness room, Lan Wangji intermittently talked to him about some things regarding Madame QingHeng. Now, seeing the heavy sorrow in QingHeng Jun's eyes, and remembering that he had asked just now if his son blamed him, Wei Wuxian understood what heavy burden pressed on his heart, preventing him for nearly 10 years from summoning the courage to open the things left by his wife. He was afraid to face her possible reproach, afraid that in her last moments she left with resentment towards him. Wei Wuxian took a deep breath and opened the box. Inside lay an already opened letter. A faint scent of gentian flowers lingered on the letter, entwining around his fingers. He gently unfolded it and saw the beginning of the letter, addressed to her future daughter-in-law, Lan Zhan's future partner. Under Lan Wangji's slightly curious gaze, Wei Wuxian silently read the letter. The handwriting was slanted, with a slight tremor between the strokes. Wei Wuxian could almost see Madame QingHeng, frail and ill, struggling to write each word at her desk. QingHeng Jun gazed into an unseen distance, his voice hoarse. Wangji's mother was most concerned about Wangji during her life. Lan Wangji raised his eyes slightly. Wangji looks like his mother, but has a temperament like mine. In some ways, he even surpasses me. Although Wangji was only a few years old at the time, his mother saw him very clearly. She said, Madame QingHeng wrote, "He likes to keep things in his heart, especially those he cares about, making it hard for people to understand what he's thinking." As soon as he was old enough to recognize someone, he was surrounded by a group of old-fashioned people and became a little old-fashioned himself. Such a little guy could sternly scold others, leaving even adults speechless. What he says always makes people think he dislikes them. Don't expect any sweet words from his mouth in this life. So, no matter what kind of girl you are, don't be sad because of this. Just look at his actions, not his words. Wei Wuxian never expected that such playful words would come from someone in pain. While reading the letter, he could almost see a cheerful smile at the corner of the writer's mouth, as if the hardships of the years and the chaotic fate had turned into a warm affection protecting blossoms, leaving only sweetness and warmth as far as her beloved son's was concerned, making the lifetime of suffering worthwhile, leaving no regrets. Seeing this, he couldn't help but sneak a glance at Lan Wangji, silently telling Madame QingHeng in his heart, "Mother, rest assured, Lan Zhan is doing well now. But your son's taste is a bit peculiar. He likes me, not a girl." As for romantic words, he used to fret and doubt about them, but now he fully understood the deeper meaning in the letter. Love wasn't spoken aloud. Rather, it was present in every little detail, subtle and gentle. It was just that he, being so rough and clumsy, hadn't noticed. On the day after their wedding, while serving tea to the elders, his casual complaints were actually heard by Lan Wangji. He grumbled about the hard bedboard, and that very night, the bed in the silence room had a thick, soft mattress added. He himself, being careless, had forgotten his words and didn't notice any difference from the first night after many rolls on it. Only once, in a rare moment of tidying the bed himself, did he discover it. He often complained about bland food in that evening, so Lan Wangji would occasionally bring him some side dishes from the kitchen for a midnight snack. He thought it was just a command from the second young master of the Lan clan, with the kitchen staff working overtime to make it. Not long ago, Wei Wuxian sneaked into the kitchen for a midnight snack and got caught. After chatting with a few kitchen apprentices, he finally realized they had never heard of any second madam ordering midnight snacks. So it must have been Lan Wangji himself, not wanting to bother others, cooked them personally. Since their return from Yunmeng, Lan Wangji had been following the recipes he learned from Zhang Yanli, preparing a table full of fragrant and spicy dishes. The kitchen staff, primarily experienced only in cooking simple and bland meals with leaves and bark, were embarrassed but enthusiastic, believing that everyone in Yunmeng was a culinary master. They eagerly asked Wei Wuxian to demonstrate his skills, making him choke on the peanuts he was eating and awkwardly find an excuse to escape. Lan Wangji was puzzled at Wei Wuxian's blooming smile as he read the letter, and then received a blown kiss from him. Next to them came a cough from QingHeng Jun, making the tips of Lan Wangji's ears blush. When talking about the strict rules of the Lan family, Madame QingHeng had bitterly complained, with Wei Wuxian wholeheartedly agreeing, thinking, great minds think alike. Yet, like him, Madame QingHeng ultimately stayed willingly at the cloud recesses. At nearly the end of the letter, the tone turned solemn, and Madame QingHeng wrote, "On the discipline stone, there are 3,000 precepts of the Gusu Lan clan. For the Lan clan, the passionate and intimate feelings between a husband and wife are also bound within the framework of etiquette and law, repressed and subtle. But the love of the Lan clan, though deep and implicit, lacking in apparent intimacy, is no less profound than any love in the world." After closing the letter for a long time, Wei Wuxian suddenly heard a light tinkling sound. He followed the sound and saw a wind chime shaped like a gentian flower swaying gently under a high-hung bamboo curtain by the long window. QingHeng Jun's gaze also fell on the little wind chime. Counting the years, QingHeng Jun was not yet 40, which for a cultivator was the prime of life. His forehead was free of wrinkles, his eyes deep and brows long and handsome, a man of unparalleled elegance. Who would have thought that he had already experienced so much, being famous, establishing a career, losing a master, the death of his wife, and retreating from the world, all within a span of time most people wouldn't live through in a lifetime. Among all these, affairs of the love were the hardest to overcome. He had separated from the one he loved for nearly 10 years. Wei Wuxian suddenly realized that this letter from Madame QingHeng was written not only for him and Lan Zhan, but also for QingHeng Jun. The love of the Lan clan, described in the letter, was exactly what she felt from her husband. 10 years later, QingHeng Jun finally received an answer from her. As Wei Wuxian snapped out of his thoughts and was about to fold the letter back into the box, a small piece of paper floated to the ground. He picked it up and unfolded it, expecting to find sorrowful musings that someone couldn't let go of in their final breath or a sudden epiphany near the end of life. Instead, he found an adorable little note. Madame QingHeng, like a child who had done something wrong, had even written in a smaller, guilty-looking script, leaving a mischievous message. "If you are really too bored, give them some alcohol." As they walked out of the coldness room, the two held hands and walked back the way they came. Wei Wuxian's fingertips lightly hooked around Lan Wangji's, and he asked with a smile, "Lan Zhan, aren't you curious about what Mother wrote in the letter?" Lan Wangji shook his head and said, "Since it was written to you, it's enough that you've read it." Wei Wuxian nodded. They walked silently for a while, and then he leaned closer to Lan Wangji's ear. "You're not curious at all." Lan Wangji glanced at him, hesitated, and finally asked, "What did Mother say?" Wei Wuxian smiled triumphantly and, without blinking, made up, "Mother said, 'You must not bully me, or I will complain to her, and she will have Father punish you.'" Lan Wangji was slightly taken aback, his eyes moving slightly. "Nonsense. Mother would never say such a thing. Besides, when have I ever bullied you?" "Ah, it hurts." Wei Wuxian clutched his waist, shouting exaggeratedly, "Oh, so painful." "It hurts here too." Lan Wangji lowered his eyes and held Wei Wuxian in his arms, rubbing his waist with one hand. "Does it really hurt?" Wei Wuxian clung to him miserably. "It hurts. It's all your fault for what you did last night. I can't walk, Lan Zhan. Carry me on your back." Lan Wangji seemed a bit troubled. "This is near Father's coldness room. Many people patrol here and pass by frequently. If we—" Wei Wuxian persisted. "I don't care. Mother said, if you bully me too much, you have to admit your mistake and take responsibility. Besides, is there any family rule that says you can't carry your partner on your back?" Lan Wangji had no answer for this and seemed convinced. He bent down slightly, and Wei Wuxian circled around to his back, climbing up with a laugh. Lan Wangji held his thighs securely and walked steadily forward. Since QingHeng Jun took charge again, traffic near the coldness room had increased significantly. Many groups of white-clad individuals passed by, looking solemn and upright, likely here to pay respects to their secluded clan head. They were startled and somewhat dumbfounded upon seeing this scene. Each person's expression was wonderful and unique. Some outer sect disciples came to pay respects with their families. Seeing Wei Wuxian being carried, the children also demanded to be carried, only to be told off with a flick of their wrists by the adults. Children shouldn't learn such bad habits. Lan Wangji walked silently, his ears quietly tinged with pink. Wei Wuxian, on his back, could barely stifle his laughter and almost fell off. He pinched Lan Wangji's earlobes, whispering, "Does Ergege feel shy in front of others? But you weren't shy in front of me last night. That's called being domineering only at home. But I'm different. I'm not shy in front of anyone, whether at home or outside." With that, he gave Lan Wangji a loud kiss on his pale, jade-like cheek. Lan Wangji's steps faltered, nearly losing balance. "Wei Ying!" Wei Wuxian teased. "What? Is there a family rule that says you can't kiss your partner's cheek while being carried on the back?" No sooner had he said this than he envisioned Lan Qiren, furiously tossing aside the collection of righteous conduct and writing new rules with fervor. He finally understood why there needed to be so many family rules. Wei Wuxian said, "Lan Zhan, don't you think our family's rules have quite a few loopholes? If someone knows how to exploit them, it'll be a big problem. Luckily, there's me to help Mr. Lan identify these loopholes and fill in the gaps. I think at least 4,000 rules would do it. What do you think, Lan Zhan? Why aren't you saying anything?" The people over there are all looking at us. So what? Are you angry? What's there to be angry about? It's not a big deal. You can punish me tonight. Lan Wangji. All right. Wei Wuxian chuckled. Then how about this way of punishing me? Is it all right? Dusk was falling, and their silhouettes gradually moved toward the silence room. On the white stone path, the sound of their joyful whispers endured endlessly.